Hey, good evening guys, Demon Driver here, and thank you for joining me on the first build video of 2020. And why not start the first video for 2020 with a build video? And I got the A350, working on the Lufthansa A350 tonight. It's a 70-degree night here on the 10th of January, and it's incredibly warm, 70 degrees. And today, or tonight, I'm going to show you how I fabricate my tail section and rudder section for my A350. We've got a styrofoam tail and balsa rudder, and I have right before me is A350 tail section, styrofoam. Has not been sanded yet. Here's the A350 nose section to the Lufthansa A350. I've started sanding it. A lot of work yet to be done, but this is what we're building, the actual tail rudder tail. And not only that, we're making the elevator stabilizer, balsa and Depron, two 4mm or I'd say two 3mm pieces of Depron together, and then we have balsa. So those together will formulate the tail of our A350. This is yet to be sanded or hollowed out yet, but it will be. And that will be part of our Lufthansa A350-900. Alright, let's get rocking. It's funny, just as I was talking to you, it started raining. One of the reasons I have all these umbrellas and everything, and I got the tarps, is because here in South Carolina, you can look at the weather report and it'll tell you, this evening there'll be, a 20% chance of rain or something like that, and then, or a 5% chance of rain. You go back inside, you leave your stuff out, half an hour later, a 20-minute rainstorm blew through, and whatever you left out is drenched. So I've got these umbrellas and I've got tarps, and I try to, when I work outside, I can tarp something and throw a tarp over it, and it's pretty much safe. I can take this, A350 tail section, I can leave this balsa rudder out and throw a tarp over it. See, I got this tarp sitting right here, and that's a great little tip if you work outside and you like the fresh air like I do, especially working at night. You can take a tarp and just pull it over something. You can just go like this and tarp everything like that really quickly, and then it makes everything safe if it rains. So I always have that ready. When it's all said and done, the A350 tail is going to look similar to this Britannia 737-200 tail. I'm building a second 737-200, which is going to be Britannia Airways from about the 1980s, with Lady Britannia on the tail with the trident and the shield. Yeah. So when all is said and done, the A350 tail is going to look the same way. Here's the balsa rudder, and this is a styrofoam and with a Depron outer shell. See, it's white styrofoam, Depron outer shell, and then we got two carbon fiber rods that run all the way up through the tail, giving it strength. So when I fasten this down into the fuselage, the rear end of the fuselage, like here, of the 737-200, it's in there. It's not coming off. And the same thing will be done right here with the A350 tail. So when this tail is mated to this, it ain't going nowhere. You're going to need a sledgehammer to knock it off. I've had some serious crashes of planes, and that tail is still sitting on there, man. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so when it's all said and done, it's going to look very similar to that. While we're sitting here, now these are the stencils. A350 main tail stencil, and right here is the A350 main stabilizer stencil. Then here is this is the elevator, and then here's the elevator, excuse me, here's the stabilizer, elevator, alright? And then right here is the A350 rudder section. That's the actual section that moves. Now these are the master stencils that I used to draw out the piece, or draw out the shape onto the styrofoam or balsa that I want to cut it out from. Now, to show you, here is the 787 elevator section, and here's my 787's rudder section, so you can kind of get an idea size-wise. Look how big that is. But of course, my 787 that I'm building is, I think, over 9 feet long, so it's a bigger scale than this A350. I'm building 3 788s and 3 A350-9s. But you want to see something crazy? You want to see something bonkers? I just thought this was funny, and I think you guys get a kick out of this. I use models to help me with sanding and to look at my various aircraft to kind of get an idea for what I'm doing and how the plane is coming along and everything like that. And you know what? What's so funny? Here's the A350. Okay, here's a 7878. Now look how much larger. Look how much larger the A350-900 is than the 788. It's a considerably larger aircraft in wingspan, and in overall. I mean, the wingspans are kind of similar in overall wingspan, but lengthwise, obviously, the A350-900 has a major advantage over the 8. Now, of course, this is the shorter 8 model, and this is, but what's funny, this is the short 900 model of the A350 right here. But here's where it gets crazy. Here's a 777-200 freighter right here, FedEx. Now here's where it's funny. Look at this. Look how big the A350 truly is. Look at this. These are both the same scale. Look at that. They're basically identical. Actually, the A350 is a tad longer than the 777-200. And they have almost roughly the same fuselage cross-section, or fuselage width, which is really crazy when you look at them in the same scale, 1/200 scale. And then for laughs, here's a little 737-200 next to the A350-900. Isn't that crazy? This is an enormous jet. This is a big plane. I mean, this really is, the 1000 especially, is a direct competitor to the 777-300 and the 200, obviously. And the 7810 is not even as large as the A350-1000. And they're talking about even lengthening it even more than the 1000. So this is a big plane, the A350. I mean, let there be no mistake about that. This is a big plane. But yeah, I mean, these are great to have when you're scratch building. Having an actual scale model of the plane that you're building is a great thing to have. It really is a wonderful thing to have. And this is a company called In-Flight Miniatures makes this, or Flight Miniatures. Alright, let's get right into it. First, what's the first thing we're going to make? We're going to make the tail of the A350, the main tail. We get a piece of white styrofoam. It's super light, and more importantly, it's simple. It's easy to find. It's easy to find. This stuff is easy to find, and I'll give you the width of it. I'll tell you the width. Right here is about Yeah, it's about 75. This is about 3/4 of an inch. This is about 3/4 of an inch width of styrofoam, white styrofoam sheet. So. Alright, so what I do is I take the main A350 stencil and I place it down over the styrofoam like so. And one of the precautions I do is I take a weight or an old battery or something like that, place it down over it, take a marker, right? Take a marker and go ahead and draw the actual outline straight onto the styrofoam, just like that. And make sure you get the entire, get everything, right? There we are. Now, I'll go ahead and take my razor. Let's make sure that we have a fresh blade. That's really important. Always make sure you have a fresh blade. Because if you use a dull blade, it's going to create jaggies and it's going to tear the styrofoam. It's not going to cut it. All right, so I freehand the curves. All right, I freehand the curves and cut on the inside of the marker line. Okay, because the outside is too big because it's a wide marker line. So always cut on the inside. You understand? And gently cut the curve with your freehand that, and then we'll freehand this curve here, cutting on the inside of the line, like that. Get our straight edge, just like so. Always being mindful of your fingers. You want to be careful. There we are. I like using simple, readily available materials that achieve every goal. Lightweight, inexpensive, easy to find. I don't care what country you're in, you can probably find styrofoam like this in packing material. At a construction company or some kind of electronics company or a furniture store, you're going to find this. Other kind of exotic materials, you may not find it. Large Depron sheet, like I told you about, it's hard to find now. All right, and we just push it out. There we are. Look at that. Huh? Beautiful. Perfect. All right. We've done that. Let's go ahead and cut out an A350 stabilizer. All right. So we go ahead and we place this A350 main stabilizer portion. This is our stencil. Place this over the Depron. Go ahead now. With the Depron, you can use a pen. All right, you can use a pen because the Depron, the pen will leave a nice. It'll leave a nice line on the Depron. Whereas a marker, you can't use this on the styrofoam because the styrofoam is so porous that it's very hard for a pen to make a mark on it. You have to keep running over it many times, and it gets frustrating after a while. There we go. fighting a little bit of a sinus infection, so if I sound a little, you know, I've got the sniffles, that's why. Alright, we got a little bit of a, we didn't get our line completely through right there, but I can see the imprint that the pen made, so I can just easily fill that in. That's not a big deal. Just like that. There we go. That's not a big deal. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and let's start cutting it out. Freehand the curve. There we are. Let's freehand this curve because that's the side of it that that meets the fuselage. Right there. There we are. Let's go ahead and cut this back part out like so. There we are. Turn this around. Let's freehand that, following the line right there. And when you run into a straight line, no longer use just freehand. Use the ruler so you get an exact cut. There we are. Always being careful of your fingers. And there we are. There's our A350 Depron stabilizer. Beautiful. Perfect. Just what I wanted. Now what we're going to do is we are going to make the balsa elevator portion of the stabilizer, right? So we have our stencil right here. We have our stencil right here. Alright. Place it over the balsa, like that. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Place that over the balsa. Take our pen. There we are. And we draw out. There we are. Perfect. And there we have it. We've got our there we are. Perfect. I love it. Alright. Now what we do is we take our rotary fabric cutter, which I've showed you is an amazing tool for cutting balsa. It works out perfect. It really is great. And we go ahead and line that up like that. Come in. And just press down. There we are. It makes mincemeat of this balsa. There we are. Look at that. Just take our straight edge, or our aluminum steel ruler, and we just follow along that. Mindful of our fingers. And there we are. Look at that. Look at that, man. Are you kidding me? Look at that, guys. See that? There it is. Our balsa stabilizer and elevator. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to fabricate the balsa rudder. And we do the same thing with the rudder. We lay the stencil down on the balsa, and then we cut it out with the rotary. This is actually a fabric cutter, but it's perfect for cutting balsa sheet, thick balsa sheet. And we go ahead and we cut out our A350 rudder. There we are. Look at that. Huh? You just can't beat that. Look at that. Huh? Isn't that perfect? I love it. Now, I'm going to show you why I choose balsa for all my control surfaces. Ailerons, flaps, leading edge, elevators, and rudder. I always use balsa. And this is why, right there. Rigidity. It's light, but it's rigid. Now, let me show you something. People that make control surfaces out of Depron, look at that. Look how flimsy that is. Now, you got an aileron, you got a rudder, you got an elevator, stabilizer. You got your elevator. You don't want it to be flippy floppy and mushy. You want it to be rigid. You want it to be rigid in that airstream, in the aerodynamic slipstream. You want that to be tough and stiff. Ailerons and your rudder and your elevator. You don't want it to be wishy-washy, so that's why I use balsa. And there you are, my friends, with a little bit of styrofoam, some balsa. We go ahead and we make ourselves our very own A350 tail section out of styrofoam, balsa, added to our styrofoam hot wired tail section, soon to be shaped and sanded by hand. And as you can see, it's simple stuff, it's straightforward, and in the end it will be a flying RC aircraft in whenever that time is and whenever it gets done. But just build, take your time, one step at a time. You don't need exotic materials. All you need is a little bit of patience, some styrofoam, some balsa, some carbon fiber, and your own skill, and just taking your time and having fun. I was a Demon Driver as always, my friends. It's an honor to have you guys with me, and take care, and I hope 2020 is a great year for you guys. Bye-bye.